Welcome to the darker side of medicine, the podcast of nightmares. Dim the lights, settle in, and wander with me into the unnerving landscape of my disturbed, subconscious mind. Because sometimes the scariest stories aren't fiction, they're symptoms.
Tonight's episode, Stampede Gauntlet, a Chad episode. Every year, Chad and I attend what is known as the greatest show on earth, Stampede. We always make lists of the new foods we want to try, we try and catch a couple of shows, we go on a midway ride or two, play midway games, and, if we're very lucky, we get to watch some of the rodeo. It's an event we consistently look forward to. Chad is all set to leave, but I have spent the entire day horribly ill. With severe stomach cramping and vomiting, I'm struggling to do just about anything in the house, let alone able to attend and enjoy the fair. Chad still wants to go, of course, so we had decided that I would drive him down to the grounds so that I could have the truck and he wouldn't have to find parking. Too ill to put any kind of effort into my appearance, I crawl into the passenger seat for the drive there in sweatpants, a hoodie, looking ghostly and ragged. But it's just to drop him off and come straight home, so who cares, right? As we're driving, Chad informs me that he'll be spending the evening at the fair with Irene, a bartender he had met on a recent boys' vacation out of town. As we get to the grounds, Chad pulls off to the side in a drop-off zone, but as I go to switch into the driver's seat, Chad turns to me and tries to convince me to stay. He begins to berate me, calling me selfish, that I'm no fun anymore, and calls me all kinds of vulgar names. He puts the truck back in drive and pulls away from the drop-off zone. He drives straight through an open gate directly onto the grounds. As we pass through, I notice a sign that says VIP parking, and two people working the grounds close and lock the gate behind us. Chad is refusing to let me leave. Feeling a modicum of panic, I jump out of the truck and make my way to the gate to ask to be let out, but they refuse. I turn to watch as Chad disappears with a security detail through a doorway off to the right. That's when one security guard explains my situation. Chad has paid for the VIP experience, and since I would not join him, I must make my way through the grounds to the other side of this massive fair. I feel disgusting, I feel ill, I'm nauseatingly concentrating all my breathing on trying not to vomit. I am royally pissed off, and near tears from the utter frustration. It's just Stampede, though. I can slowly walk to the other side of the grounds and exit out the main gates. I enter the park. It looks entirely different from every other Stampede we have ever been to. There's only a small, almost hallway between each of the attractions. Some of the facilities have been turned into Olympic-sized sports arenas instead of amusement park rides, and the place is a maze, each attraction leading into two or more attractions. As I'm attempting to get my bearings, there's another unnerving aspect to this park. There's blood, and there are bodies strewn about the place, having not survived some attractions. I can make out some of the sections. It looks like there's an axe-throwing arena, but people have been strapped to the boards near the bullseye. There's a massive laser tag section, but the lasers are cutting through some of the barriers and bunkers. Similarly, there's a facility that looks like a paintball field, but those aren't paintballs coming out of those guns. There are multiple tracks, a few obstacles that look like midway rides with some dangerous twists to them, including a zipper ride that sprays blood every time one of the cages spins around. Beyond the gauntlet, though, is the Stampede how I remember it. I can vaguely make out normal food stalls, a rodeo stadium, a stage with a band playing, and beer gardens. It's all marked VIP. That's where Chad and Irene will be. I wonder if everyone there is watching the gauntlet happening on this side. Dazed and feeling rotten, I stumble my way through a doorway only to find myself on a track, and almost immediately I'm nearly trampled over by a group of motocross racers. A security member grabs my arm and pulls me away from the track. I desperately convey my need to leave, but he refuses to help me. He shoves me out of another door. I find myself in a small walkway in between multiple doors to different complexes. There are people sitting or leaning against the walls, obviously exhausted and preparing themselves for the next section. No one makes eye contact with me. Looks like everyone is trying to keep to themselves and make their way through the harrowing obstacles to the other side of the park. I open a second door and find myself on a smaller track with room for 4 competitors and a hills and valleys construction. It's a racetrack, but the twist is that there are blades coming up behind the racers. If you're too slow, you're dead. I swallow. I slap myself on the cheek to wake myself up. I need to focus. I'm unceremoniously shoved onto the track beside 3 other people, but none of us speak. I'm in the second lane, daunted by the track. We are given a 30-second head start from the blades, and the starting pistol goes off. 30 seconds to get up that first hill. I half walk, half crawl up the hill, which takes longer than I had hoped, but I'm so weak. I ignore my nausea as best I can and pick up speed on the downhill part and make my way to the rounding corner. Another pistol goes off. The blades. 2 girls in the 3rd and 4th lanes are neck and neck, but I see the girl in lane 3 trip the other one. She falls hard and hits her head on the pavement. She won't make it, and lane 3 is right beside me. I need to motor. Then I see my opportunity. The doorway to the next obstacle isn't at the end of this race. It's a few paces from the top of the next hill. I can make it. It would be cheating, but I don't think anyone is really too concerned about that. I push as hard as I can up that hill, keeping a close eye on lane 3. Lane 1 is far, far ahead of the rest of us, so only one side to worry about. The blades are getting close. I can hear them whirring. I get halfway up that hill and I drop my hands to crawl just as lane 3 is passing me on my right. I don't think she's too worried about me. As she passes, that's when I veer off to the left to the platform that has the door to the next section. I feel so slow, but I make it and push straight through the door. Without pausing, I immediately open the next door. It opens to a standard skate park. I ask the attendants there how I can get out of the park. 2 of the women laugh at me, but one shifts her eyes slightly to the top of a half-pipe. Beyond it, I can see the fence that surrounds the park, which is lower than the half-pipe lip. I take stock of the obstacle before me, about a dozen skateboarders, all with razors lining their wheels. Some are in full gear, some have baseball bats that they're using as weapons. All of them look prepared and itching for a fight. The lip of the half-pipe is off to the left. I wait until the majority of the skateboarders have gone to the other side, then I bolt and skirt the ledge to get to where I could feasibly reach the fence. I look back and none of the other attendants had noticed me get to this point. So I lower myself onto my stomach and manage to shimmy over to the fence. My fingers on my left hand suddenly explode in pain. They've been run over by razor wheels, and I can feel the warmth of my blood spraying from my hand. I let go, and quite ungracefully, I crash down on the outside of the grounds. I'm out, but in loads of pain. Feeling a little more optimistic, but still frightened, I make my way back to the main roads. The sun is beginning to set, though, and I would rather not be alone in my weakened state once it's dark outside. Once I reach a known street, I pull out my phone to call an Uber. As I was distracted making my way through obstacles, I hadn't realized how much my phone was going off. I unlock my phone only to see a myriad of rageful text messages from Chad, which I ignore for the moment. To my dismay, the Uber app won't work. It won't let me sign in. I get an error message that says, "There is no account registered to this email." I go to another rideshare app and get the error message, "Payment option requires updating. Credit card is no longer valid." What the hell? I open the texts from Chad. "I can't believe how selfish you're being. You're such a lying bitch. My parents are both in their 80s and they have more energy to do things than you ever do. You're not that sick, you just want to embarrass me." Then, "Try getting home now, bitch. You wanted to leave? You can walk home." Then, about 45 minutes after that one, "I control everything. You have no money, no access to friends, and soon you'll have no usable phone. And now, no home to go to either. I've called a U-Haul to pack up your stuff and take it to a storage facility. Don't bother going home. We're done, and you have nothing." Filled with rage, I try every single app on my phone. I have no service. I can't call anyone. Everything has been canceled. He's right. I have no usable phone. He must have canceled the plan and everything with it after his last message. I can try to walk home, but nothing will be there, and I'm so ill I may not even make it. It's now dark out, and the streets are deserted. I can hear muffled screams from the grounds, but nothing outside of them. I'm alone. I feel a few scattered drops of rain land on my head and hands. Great. I walk a little ways just to find a sheltered spot in an alley and sit down. I wrap my injured hand with a torn piece of my undershirt. I huddle into my hoodie, bring my knees up to my chest, and brace for a cold, brutal night with nowhere to go, having barely survived. My eyes open. Thank you for listening to The Darker Side of Medicine. I'm your host, Scary Carrie. Sweet dreams.